Okay, let's jump right in. Today's explainer follows a story that is honestly just as profoundly tragic as it is suspenseful. We're going to trace the sudden disappearance, the incredibly meticulous investigation, and the ultimate discovery of Rania Alayed. This is the story of a fiercely courageous 25-year-old mother who fought tooth and nail for a better life, only to have it completely stolen from her in the most unforgivable way imaginable.
There's a truly cruel irony at the very heart of this case. Just as Rania stopped being afraid, just as she had finally escaped years of severe abuse and was actually starting to build a real future for herself, she vanished, literally into thin air. She left behind her 3 beautiful children and a chilling, decade-long mystery that investigators had to painstakingly piece together.
So, to really understand how this all happened, we have to look back at where she started. Rania was born in Syria to a Palestinian refugee family, so life tested her from day one. And at the incredibly young age of just 15, she married a man named Ahmed al-Khatib. Seeking a better future, like we all do, they eventually moved to northern England. And there, Rania became a mother to 3 kids. To the outside world, to the neighbors looking out their windows, they seemed like a perfectly normal family. But behind closed doors, it was a totally different, much darker story. Prosecutors would later reveal that Rania was surviving what was essentially a prison of severe domestic abuse and control. For years, every single aspect of her life was completely dictated by her husband. But then, in January 2013, everything shifted. Rania found this incredible courage to break free. She took her children, she moved to a refuge, and eventually she got her own apartment. She started taking English classes. She began making new friends. It's like night and day. She was building a new, independent identity. She wasn't just surviving anymore, guys. She was actually living. But unfortunately, her newfound freedom was a reality that Ahmed simply could not accept. His anger just boiled over as his control slipped away. We really need to slow down here for a second, because the events of June 7th, 2013 are absolutely critical. That evening, Ahmed asked to spend time with the children. Now, it seemed like a totally routine, normal family arrangement, right? Rania dropped her kids off at an apartment in Salford, where Ahmed was waiting. But about 45 minutes later, Ahmed's brother left the apartment, and he took the children with him. And just like that, the trap snapped shut. What seemed like a normal evening instantly turned into a highly calculated, deadly scenario once Rania was left entirely alone with the very man she had spent months desperately trying to escape. I want to be absolutely clear here about what happens next inside that apartment. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a sudden moment of panic, and it certainly wasn't self-defense. Ahmed murdered Rania. It was a cold-blooded execution of a woman who just wanted to live her own life. And honestly, the sheer horror of this crime was really only just beginning, because unlike most killers who might panic after something like this, Ahmed didn't. What followed was an incredibly elaborate cover-up, methodically executed under the cover of darkness. First, and this is genuinely hard to believe, Emmett actually put on Rania's jeans and her headscarf as a disguise. He walked right out of the building pretending to be his own wife just to trick witnesses and security cameras into thinking she had walked out alive. Then, he put her body into a suitcase. Soon after, his brother showed up with a white camper van, they loaded her inside, and they drove north toward Yorkshire. And to totally throw everyone off the scent, Amit used her phone and her social media accounts to send out fake messages to her family and friends, pretending she'd just packed up and moved to Turkey or Syria. But here's the thing. You just can't hide from modern forensics forever. A whole month later, Ahmed actually had the audacity to report Rania missing to the police himself. He literally sat across from investigators and lied right to their faces. Detectives, though, they saw right through it. They meticulously combed through CCTV footage, they tracked the van's vehicle movements, and they dug deep into those phone records. They even discovered that Rania's phone had been physically shipped to Turkey just to fake that location data. Every single footprint, digital and physical, pointed directly back to Ahmed. This was a massive, planned deception. Now, jump forward to the 2014 trial. The mountain of evidence collided with an absolutely baffling defense strategy. Against months of fake social media posts, wearing disguises, and moving a body in the dead of night, Ahmed claimed he wasn't in his right mind. Get this. He actually argued that a supernatural spirit, a jinn, appeared to him and caused him to act in a state of confusion. I mean, wow. Prosecutors, of course, completely dismantled this absurd defense. They essentially pointed out to the jury one very simple fact. Confused people do not carefully disguise themselves, rent camper vans to transport bodies across the country, and bury evidence in the middle of the night. The jury didn't buy it for a second, and neither did the judge. When delivering the life sentence to Ahmed and the brothers who helped him, the presiding judge perfectly captured the terrible symmetry of this abuse. The judge looked at him and said, "The contempt you showed Rania in death matched the contempt with which you treated her in life."
So justice had finally been served in the courtroom. The men responsible were locked up. Case closed, right? Well, actually, no. Because for Rania's parents, and especially for her 3 kids who were growing up without her, this one agonizing, incredibly painful question just kept hanging over their lives. Where was Rania?
For over a decade, her family never gave up. They kept searching. They waited, hoping against all hope that one day they would have a physical place to finally lay her to rest and just mourn properly. 11. It sounds like just a number, but really think about the sheer weight of that for a second. 11 long years of Rania's body remaining hidden in the cold ground somewhere, entirely cut off from the world, and miles away from the very children she had fought so incredibly hard to protect. But then we reached February 2025. Investigators got their hands on new information that brought them back to a remote stretch in Yorkshire, right near the E19 highway. And there, they finally made the discovery they had been working toward for all those years. Human remains were found buried underground. After 11 years, this breakthrough brought a deeply cathartic, though obviously heartbreaking, end to the physical search. Rania was finally home. It's almost impossible to fully measure the human toll of a cover-up like this, but her son Yazan really captured it perfectly after the discovery. His heartbreaking words just remind us of the profound emotional theft that took place here. What was stolen from those kids by their own father was the simple, basic dignity of being able to say goodbye to their mom. When we take a step back and look at Rania's legacy, we see a woman of immense, undeniable strength. She survived poverty and displacement as a refugee. She survived years of agonizing domestic abuse. And we have to remember this. Rania was not killed because she did something wrong. She was killed because she bravely chose a life that finally belonged to her. Because she chose freedom. Her story is this incredibly stark, devastating reminder of the extreme dangers that survivors face, especially in those critical, vulnerable moments when they try to leave and finally sever that control. So as we wrap up today's explainer, remembering Rania Elaid, who thankfully is finally no longer missing, we really have to ask ourselves a crucial question about those unseen dangers survivors face even after they escape. How do we ensure that when someone finally finds the bravery to step out into the light, they are totally shielded from the darkness trying to pull them back? Think about that for a bit and let Rania's incredible story be one we absolutely never forget.